Today, Jonathan is going to be talking about the secrets of the three-act structure. Again, all of us who have ever written any story, any book, any play, anything, have probably at least vaguely heard of the three-act structure, but we're going to do a good dive into it today, understand how a story arc works with this, and understand what do the old people know about Aristotle and Shakespeare, not people in the room, know about developing story that maybe we need to know. So I think that's all I'm going to say, and then turn it over to Jonathan.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, good morning. Do we get to go? Hold on for a second. This summer is the 25th anniversary of my graduation from the American Film Institute in LA. Wow. I had an MFA. I just checked this morning. Tuition there would be $75,000 a year. So for an MFA, 2-year degree, it costs $150,000. 25 years later, I only remember about 50 minutes worth of stuff. So $150,000 worth of information in 50 minutes. And by the way, I think AFI is playing the Lobos in week 3, and AFI is favored. I'm saying, okay, that's next slide. And again, I'm going to be talking about the three-act structure, and I'm also going to be going into some other things I learned there about how to structure your book. Spoiler alert, I guess we gave it away. Who sort of popularized the three-act structure? Aristotle. That's good. Anyone know what the first act is? Next slide. Slide after that. Anyone know what it is? It is the beginning. That is Act 1 is the beginning. Anyone know what Act 2 is? Next slide. Well, sometimes the middle goes on too long, so you can get lost. There's the middle, midtown over there. Sometimes the middle goes on too long. Next slide. And then we get to the third act, which of course is the anyone?
End.
And again, that was way back when, but somebody named Joseph Campbell wrote a book called The Hero's Journey. And it's now ancient history. It was published in 1990. I thought it was older than that, but it's only about, I guess, 35 years old. And Joseph Campbell sort of came up with this big hero's journey, which sort of roughly corresponds with the three-act structure. I did learn about this in film school. My sister was supposed to be here today. She's coming in later. The flight was delayed, but she's now teaching summer school at a school in LA. One of the students at her school, I guess no longer with us anymore, was a young lady named Frances Gum. Does anyone know Frances?
Payment.
Judy Garland. And again, what was her most famous role, of course?
Dorothy.
And again, that book corresponds, the original Wizard of Oz in the film corresponds with the hero's journey. And again, Campbell said that the hero's journey begins in the ordinary world. And then in the Wizard of Oz, where is the ordinary world? Next slide. That's good. After that, the ordinary world, that's actually Taiwan Church, where things are pretty normal and boring. And then you could say that Dorothy gets her call to adventure when she starts singing somewhere over the rainbow. So I guess the call to adventure is looking at the rainbow. That's actually Artesia, which is where you're from. That's a quiet plane. And I saw that rainbow and I ran out to get there. And no one has ever confused Oz with Artesia. Usually, the hero. Okay, next slide. Hero sometimes hesitates and refuses the call of action because they don't want to go the wrong way. They don't want to go to the next level. But often they meet a mentor. And if somebody who tells them what's ahead and what to do and warns them, but it gives them the strength to go on. Next slide. The mentor tells you to stop. You got to not listen to the mentor who warns you, and you got to keep going. In Wizard of Oz, of course, the mentor character was Glinda. And I don't want to spoiler alert, Dorothy had the power all along. I hope I didn't spoil it for anyone. And next, what the hero has to do is cross the threshold. I guess in Wizard of Oz, that would be hitting the yellow brick road and sometimes ignoring a warning. That's a trail here. That's the Dripping Springs Trail in Las Cruces. And they have that warning sign. And after you see that sign, you don't want to go there. I mean, they say literally people have died there. Go for it, but don't go there. Don't go there today when it's 105 degrees. So sometimes you've got to listen to the warnings. And our hero is going to face tests along the way. Next slide. Sometimes that test can be a coyote. Again, that's the recycled Roadrunner statue in Las Cruces. And you've got to face up to that. And the hero sometimes has to weigh all their options. Next slide. And that is Metro Court. And one thing that's important is at that time, often the hero realizes that they can't make it alone. Slide. You've got to ski in pairs. That's in Taos Ski Valley. By the way, every single slide except one today is a photo I took myself. I'm going to let you guys guess which slide I didn't take. Again, at this point, when you realize that you can't do it alone, you need allies. Who were Dorothy's allies in The Wizard of Oz? All right, we were not able to get the releases from Warner Brothers to get the film, so our allies are Lalo, Oscar, and Scout. And again, who was Dorothy's enemy? The enemy makes the Wicked Witch. And again, you're going to meet enemies, and that's somewhere near Alamogordo. And sometimes these enemies can be both internal and external. And again, that painting is for sale. That was one of my late mother's paintings, and we are selling that if anyone's looking at it. We aren't hanging that in our room. It's just too. And then there's some more tests that the hero has to make. And when we are journeying to the inmost cave, which of course is in Carlsbad. And again, that journey can be uphill. And the hero has to go through a ordeal. And that's when you have to face all the challenges. Sometimes that's near the end, sometimes that's near the beginning. But you have to face your fears. And then you hit the inmost cave. Got to face one of the tests you're going to be facing is, of course, the dangerous crossroads until you hit the inmost cave, which is the next slide. And this is an in-joke for any of you long-time SouthWest writers. What danger are you going to be facing in the inmost cave? Mold.
Susan.
Yeah. Is she still up?
I think so.
Okay. If Susan Cooper, if you're out there, I promised I was going to do a reference. It's an in-joke for long-time Southwest writers. Again, once you're in that inmost cave, you are going to see some light. Next slide. And that's where you start to make your way out. And again, the hero, you can actually see it in many movies where there's a big fight, where all of a sudden you see the hero finally start to win. And that's as the hero emerges from the inmost cave and again finds a reward. And again, going back to Dorothy, it is over the rainbow, taking that exit, and that's US 70 down in Las Cruces. And the hero will have a next slide. The road back. This is where the hero in Wizard of Oz, where she just clicks her heels. It's usually after the big victory, the hero has to return, and they have a resurrection, which is got that. That actually is the moon, not the sun. And that is a church in Las Cruces. And the hero has a resurrection. Aristotle also wrote a little bit, in addition to plot. I think plot is where he was the strongest, but he also tried to write about people. And next slide. So he wrote about people and formations and how they interact together. And he wanted there to be a protagonist, an antagonist, and sometimes there could be the protagonist and the antagonist can be fighting over perhaps the love interest. That's up in Santa Fe. And Aristotle was against fancy language way back then, even though it was all Greek to me. But Aristotle focused on sometimes he wanted people to state their needs right up front. Next slide. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. Characters should not be unrealistic. They shouldn't do silly things like that, of course, is Roswell and Dunkin' Donuts. Again, the alien is wearing a mask. That's an old photo. I think I took it in 2020. And he's asking you to get a donut. And again, sometimes characters can be patriotic. And Aristotle also liked a patriotic message. So next slide. There's Uncle Sam with a green chili and Hatch, New Mexico. He wanted to focus on story and like if you're writing a legal thriller, he wanted you to focus on what was going on and not have any crazy spectacles. So he didn't like fire. Oh, here we go. Straightforward language, female vocalist wanted. I'm sorry, I'm like one notch off on my thing. But that a little bit about the female vocalist wanted. Aristotle would have loved it because it's stating your wants and needs right there. Female vocalist wanted. You got a plot point. You know what's going on. They never did get a female vocalist at that place in Vaughan, New Mexico. I actually once said that I was working with Taylor Swift, and Taylor Swift had her car broken down in Vaughan, and she was looking for a gig for a while. I really told them that, and they actually believed me. They said, Taylor Swift wants to sing with us in Vaughan, New Mexico. I'm like, well, she'll sing anywhere, and she wants to sing with you. It's only for. And I went out. I'm like, I'm going to go get her, and then I drove very quickly out of this. Never went well. No, I go back there. Next slide. Again, he liked playing. Aristotle would hate this sign because here we've got the main plot, which is the courthouse, and he would hate fireworks. Aristotle was not a Deus ex machina kind of guy. He liked fireworks. He didn't like fireworks. And again, ultimately, the hero has to make a choice. In my own life, I had to make a choice between staying in Hollywood back in 2001 or coming back to New Mexico. Next slide. And I made the choice. You can actually see that's in Flagstaff. There really is a sign that says LA and Albuquerque. My wife will remember when I took that photo. I was driving. It's a little out of focus. We were driving very quickly. We went to Albuquerque. Yeah. And again, but the next thing I want to go to is a different. There was in addition to the Aristotelian theory of story structures. Do we have any yoga aficionados here? Yeah. Does anyone heard the word chakras? We had a guest lecturer who would seem to have been a massage therapist who wrote films, who came in on a guest lecture and taught us about the chakras of storytelling. Yes. And you know what? That is probably one of the most interesting hours of my film school experience. And for all of you folks, you can use this. This is so unlike me. I have no flexibility at all. And I'm going to talk about chakras for a little bit. So bear with me. Anyone who is flexible, maybe we could do down for dog, but I'm going to focus on the chakras storytelling. The first is called the root chakras. Which is basically those are films about survival. Next slide. I've got it right. We're going to forbidden territory. Next slide. the ancient chakras of storytelling. Chaco Canyon, if you haven't been there, go. Next slide. The root chakra is survival. What does your character need to do to survive? I've always said the best example of that is Saving Private Ryan. The first 40 minutes of, or half hour, that D-Day scene in Saving Private Ryan is about survival. Will they make it? Will he survive? No other plot point. I mean, will he make it? Here's a great trivia question for everyone. What was the name of Tom Hanks' character in Saving Private Ryan? Captain John Miller. So I can say that Tom Hanks played me. And again, here's more survival. And the next slide shows when it's on Highway 60. There's literally a sign that says water and don't pass. And guess what? There's no water there. So again, sometimes the most basic plot is any, and again, I want to give a shout out to the Veterans book. What's it called again?
Unbreaking the Circle. Unbreaking
the Circle. Those are the folks that have had to survive, and I want to thank them for their service. And buy that book. Support Southwest drivers. They survived the root chakra. The next chakra is the sacral chakra. I can't say that correctly. And again, this is a PG-13. It's about friendship and love. And again, this is a PG-13 talk. So if you go quickly through the next two slides. And which brings us to the solar plexus chakra, which is about, power. The most powerful person in Albuquerque, of course, is Bumblebee. He's guarding the courthouse. Notice nothing bad has happened at the courthouse since when the Iron Man used to be there. He got hit by a car, but now we have got Bumblebee guarding the courthouse, and he is about power. Anything about obtaining power, we talk about, let's say, a government, somebody trying to be president or trying to win fame and fortune, that would be the solar plexus chakra. The next one after that is the throat chakra, which is, this one?
Heart.
Oh, I'm sorry, the heart chakra. Heart chakra is about love, of course, or loves, or love's apostrophe. And hold on, next slide. And again, which brings us next to the throat chakra, which is about communication and expression. And again, one of the most successful movies of the last few years was about four great artists: Leonardo, Raphael, Donatello, and Michelangelo. Does anyone know who they are? But another thing about art, hold on for a second, is that art can sometimes be difficult. It could cause disruption, and sometimes it can hurt your bottom line. Next slide.
Okay. Got it.
Got it. Art. That's actually right. That's the Ito stuff. And again, art is for those who are watching on TV, the art bus system caused a lot of disruption in Albuquerque. And that would actually be a really interesting movie. The art, somebody giving somebody an idea to steal. The next is the third eye chakra. And again, I was going to be clever and get a picture of third eye blind, but then I realized that I couldn't do that without copyright infringement. Copyright infringement is the most sincere form of flattery. Somewhere in there, again, for intuition is knowing that somewhere in the world, gusty winds may exist. They don't necessarily exist here, though. There they did, but somewhere in the world, gusty winds may exist. And next slide. Again, I saw a sign in that you've got to beware. So that's like intuition. If you're like, I think they're rattlesnakes. Sometimes your intuition will see a sign and warn you. And you've got to look to the future. And I think the next slide should be the observatory. where you can see the giant coming. If you have a bad feeling that a giant comet is coming, you go to that observatory, you will see it. By the way, that was my first professional photo, which was in a UNM publication. Arguably one of my, if you ever have a chance to go to that observatory, I really suggest it. Which brings us to the next chapter. That is the slide I didn't take. Intuition. I had a vision with the help of AI of where Southwest writers will be. In a beautiful building, I actually said, this is what's a little bit scary about AI. I just said, Southwest Writers Headquarters, and they gave me. So that's going to be the Southwest Writers Tower. It's going to be next to Google, and hopefully the rent will be free. Which brings us to the crown chakra, which is spirituality and connection. That's actually Oregon Mountains Desert Peaks National Monument, which again is worth seeing. And that is spirituality and other things. You could, if we're saying that Saving Private Ryan, the start of it is just about survival. At the end, it's saving humanity, saving whatever you want to call it, and all of that is in there. Keep going. That is another monument. That's the El Camino Real Monument halfway. Again, one of my favorite photos. And again, that's a monument to people who took the journey here. And the top, my last slide I've got is about Ruidoso. And again, after I put this slideshow together, I realized that that's a town suffering a real tragedy. A friend of mine lost his house there. Anyone want to help out the folks in Ruidoso, please do. I was going to keep going. I had this whole thing about AI, and I realized I have no idea about AI. I don't want to make any predictions about what the future will hold. I don't want to make any predictions about the future of novel writing. David Brooks just wrote an article about the future of novels in the New York Times. Did anyone read that? I see it was an interesting article where I'm hopeful that we will still be writing novels in the near future. I'm hoping that writers will not be replaced by AI. And when I look around here at everybody, I'm confident that this will happen. And at least one person in this room, hopefully, I guess we got about 30, 40 people. Hopefully somebody is going to write the next great novel and it's going to be a great success. So ladies and gentlemen of the jury, thank you for your time. I ask you to find my client not guilty, and I'll take questions for a while.
So if you don't walk out of this room or log off your computer today inspired, it's on you. I'm just suddenly feeling all rah. And frankly, I thoroughly enjoyed the travel log because I've also driven a lot of highways to New Mexico. And we have beautiful places. People just don't always see them. So thank you for the photos as well as talk. It was excellent.